Hi everyone, this is Tori Poulter, Chief Sales Officer for Unique, and we are coming to you with our second of our Hong Kong launch calls, actually second series of 3. And joined once again by Jordan Meyer, who is our Director of International Markets. And we have a very, very special guest, and that is Miss Tia Lucart, Black Status Presenter, who has graciously agreed to join us to talk about some of the success that she has had in recruiting, not only in Hong Kong, but in pretty much all of the market launches that we've had for the last little while, right, Tia?
Yes.
So we are going to get a little bit of her wisdom, and something I'm just realizing, we kind of all color coordinated today without realizing it. I mean, was this planning or what? The coral with the navy with the little floral accent, just together for this call. All right, let's get started with the serious stuff. So we're on our second call, and our last call we talked really just about Hong Kong in general. We explored some of the general aspects. We had Candy Lau, who is heading up our Asian efforts, and specifically our Hong Kong effort. And we talked a lot about just how to get into Hong Kong to begin with, some really general FAQs. Today we're going to get a lot more tactical, and we are going to talk about some specifics, how a presenter goes about recruiting and working in Hong Kong, with some very specific pieces of instruction from Tia on success that she's had, as well as some, I think we're going to dig a little bit deeper on recruiting with Jordan. I think that it's safe to say, in fact, we did a survey. We did a survey with presenters, and what we discovered was something really interesting. The number one reason why presenters don't engage in new markets is simply because they don't know how to go about it. And so one of the big goals for this call is to help you with that, is for, by the end of this call, for you to really understand how to go about getting into the game of Hong Kong. So there were some interesting survey results, and we asked you, presenters, by the way, those questions, and that is what you told us. So with that, I think that's pretty much the introduction that we need. So Jordan, we will turn things over to you to dig right into some interesting things that we have both observed about some initial efforts that you have taken, as well as some additional information about how to approach, who to go after, all that good stuff.
Okay, first a statistic about Hong Kong, because I'm a data nerd. We have these beauties right here on the table, and they're not just a table piece. They actually are here to
represent something big.
They do. They represent something big, because the average woman in Hong Kong spends more on skincare than any other woman in the world.
In the world.
In the world.
By like a lot, right?
And it's not even close. It's not even close. It's by 20 to 25%.
So royalty looked pretty good before. It's looking amazing.
Yeah.
With respect to the Hong Kong launch. So we decided to pull in a few royalty products just to serve as a reminder. By the way, you don't have to be a nerd to enjoy that statistic. That's a pretty sexy statistic.
Perfect timing,
yes,
right?
Perfect timing. Perfect timing with our royalty launch and getting into the game in Hong Kong. Love that statistic,
almost
in fact.
Like we planned it.
Yeah. It is almost like we planned it.
It's common for women in Hong Kong to use a mask every night. Every night. And who knows, maybe I'll use my first one on this call.
Yeah, that would be very exciting. That would be very exciting. Okay, Jordan, what else you got for us? Okay. That's a great statistic. I don't know if you're going to top that. You may just need to mic drop and walk out right now after that one.
Yeah, it's going to get a little more stale here, but bear with me. So let's talk about the fun topic of visa statuses, okay? So we've gotten a lot of questions about, hey, I've got a pre-launch group. I've got a lot of women in it who are from the Philippines, from Indonesia, from Thailand, who are living in Hong Kong. Can they enroll to be a unique presenter? And the answer is, it depends. It depends on what their visa status is. And I'm going to give you a really specific way to tell if they are, if they're okay to enroll and receive commissions or not. So everyone who comes to Hong Kong gets a Hong Kong ID card. And on that Hong Kong ID card, there's date of birth, and then right under the date of birth, there's a code. And the code will have star, 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 and then a letter. And that first letter, if it's a C, C as in Charlie, that means you're on a restricted status, and you probably can't sign up unless you've got other documentation you can provide. So any other letter besides C is okay, but if you're C, that means you're restricted, and your visa status doesn't allow you to take employment outside of where you currently work.
Now, what's your suggestion on that for presenters? Are you suggesting that presenters actually ask their potential recruits what it says, or ask to see it, or what is your direction to them?
Yeah, so I would pass along, we have an FAQ out on uniqueproducts.com/Hong Kong, and I would literally just pass along that FAQ where it says what I just verbalized. Look for the C, and if you're a C, you can still buy the starter kit. You just we can't pay commissions at Unique. So yeah, I'm suggesting presenters set that expectation out there in their pre-launch groups or with women they're working with, that they check their Hong Kong ID card. And typically people in Hong Kong always carry that with them. So it's not like we're asking them to go dig up some document that they may not have. Candy Lau said that people in Hong Kong typically even swim with their Hong Kong ID card on their person. You know, it's something
important document.
It's something they have.
Well, and I feel like with this launch, we have more responsibility to act responsibly in our recruiting and sponsoring efforts because of some of the social situations that exist there. And I think that this is an important one, to just make sure that we're acting ethically in different in the women that we're looking to bring into Unique.
Yeah. So I think it's early and often bring up that letter C. Right. There's no sense in leading someone along who can't receive commissions.
Great advice.
But some other updates on Hong Kong. And once again, these are all on the FAQs on uniqueproducts.com/Hong Kong. We're going to have a few shipping options in Hong Kong, similar to what we have in Mexico and Germany. People will be able to select for their package to be delivered in a local convenience store. So kind of a cool shipping option.
So that's actually something we've done in a couple of different countries and successfully, right? If you're a US based presenter and have not heard of that, it's a successful practice in what? Mexico, we're doing it in Mexico, we're doing it in Germany. Okay, great.
Yeah. And then Hong Kong prices, so product prices, you can find those in the Global Business Guide. So those have been updated to reflect the Hong Kong.
And before we launch, we will actually have our Hong Kong catalog, and we just recently had our model presenters here, presenters playing models, in the office, and it was lovely. It was a great treat to have them. They were so much fun, and they will represent the women of Hong Kong beautifully with Unique, and it will be a fantastic catalog. There is no doubt in my mind.
A couple other things. Presenters in Hong Kong can register as a business. So this means, if you've got someone who already has been in direct selling or has an entity, like in the U.S. we have an LLC, they'll be able to register as that business on the registration page in Hong Kong. Now let's talk about a topic that's not nearly that fun. Spamming.
Spamming, a word that has become a 4-letter word around this office. Spamming. And I will let you in on something, so maybe lean in a little bit. We haven't done a very good job with avoiding this with the Hong Kong launch. So we may need just a little bit of tough love here on this one, Jordan. Give us some information about how we can prevent and make Unique look like the company that it should look like when it comes to spamming.
Yeah. Well, it only takes 10 or 20 presenters to really make us look bad in a market. And when I say make us look bad in a market, it means give people a bad first impression, leave a bad taste in their mouth. And, a lot of presenters, a lot of top leaders I've talked to about this, and they've given me some of the best practices. So I'm going to go through some of those. But before I do it, I just want to beg. I want to ask that all of our presenters respect the brand and respect the opportunity that Unique is enough to not spam it, because really you hurt the brand, you hurt the whole sisterhood when you spam.
I love that phrase, respect the brand, which I believe that we all have a desire to do.
Yeah. So some best practices out there. Well, first I want to point out that spamming is actually against the presenter's agreement. And so we have a compliance team
So
out
can
there.
we define spamming, first of all? Because if it's against the presenter agreement, I think that we need to be really clear, right, on what exactly spamming is.
Yeah, so spamming would be going into a group, going into say a Facebook group for Hong Kong women who like to cook, or a recipe sharing Facebook group, to use an example, and going in there and presenters posting their link saying, join my team, join my team, join my team, when number one, the purpose of the group has nothing to do with like a business opportunity. It's not a direct selling group. And number two, maybe the rules of the group even say, hey, no posting about business opportunities, no soliciting, right? So that's clearly spammy behavior.
Okay, good definition.
And the question is, are the women in there, are they going to want to join Unique after seeing these links come through, violating their...
Does
their
it
nice
ever
group?
work?
Yeah.
Does spamming, have you ever found spamming to work?
No.
Yeah.
And I think if you take the business as you helping others and not about yourself, that's where, that changes with the spamming and not spamming. So if you just think of it as, this opportunity is so great and I want to share it with you,
Right.
you're going to come back off of
If
spamming.
we're really a mission-based company and our goal is to uplift, empower, and validate, is that kind of soliciting,
Yes,
achieving
because then you
that?
just come off as, help me, join my team, this is about me, when it's not.
Right. And, at the end of the day, I mean, we were talking about this before we started rolling tape. If I can quote Tia, she said, these are all the things that I tell my team about spamming, and if that doesn't work, her final is, and if you do it, I'm going to come after you. So, that's how passionately you feel about not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might write that on my wall. If you do it, I'm going to come after you.
No
Well
links
said.
and no graphics.
Yeah.
All the time.
So some best practices. Number one, adhere to the rules in any group that you're a part of. Okay, if they don't want the business opportunity talked about, then don't post about it. And I should add, there are tons of videos out there that many presenters who have done this well have about how to build relationships with people in groups in ways that aren't hey, join my team. So that's one. Number two, if it is an appropriate group, right? There are direct sales or buy-sell trade groups where it is appropriate to post about the business opportunity. But if you do post in there, if you see that another presenter has posted within the last 24 hours, don't post. That's spamming if you do. And then if you do post and someone has commented, hey, I'd like to learn more about this unique opportunity, and you see that someone else has commented, don't jump in and say, hey, no, come look at, talk to me, right? Once again, spammy behavior. It's not really just spammy behavior, it's respectful behavior.
Right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. So
anyway, that's an overview there. And once again, lots of great training, lots of great videos on how to build relationships properly without being spammy.
Fantastic, Jordan. So we're going to turn to Tia for some of her expertise. And I want to go back to the survey, Tia, because really simply what we found is that we need to simplify this process and to simplify how to go into to different countries when we launch. And so I think with some of the conversations that we've already had, you have a very simple process to do that. So let's start off with the first question. Is this the first country that you've really worked in, or have you worked in other countries?
No, I mean, yes, I have worked in other countries, and this isn't my first, but I think that it's just because like new markets open up, you shouldn't stop working in the ones that you're currently, because you have to, it's an ongoing process. So even though we opened up in the UK, it doesn't mean that I'm done with that.
Mhm.
It's an ongoing process, and I'm still building relationships with people in the UK, and that's what's important to me. Is
So it's
building-
diversifying your team, diversifying your business, and it's not this idea of get in and get out. It's this
Right.
idea of build this diversified team, country, business.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Because
That's great.
even though, so many people are talking about Hong Kong, they should be still focusing on
Yeah,
US.
sure. So it's not like we hate that get rich quick mentality.
Right.
We always acknowledge that the key to success is going to work hard to care more about building your teams than you do your own business. And so this idea that you're going to go in maybe like at the ground level and not have to do that much and then get back out and move on is not really the case when you go into a new
Exactly.
country. Love it. So then you've sort of already answered this, but you deciding to focus on Hong Kong, it sounds like it was not even a decision specifically with this country. It's just in general that this is how you approach your business.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. So you have already begun building your team. It sounds like in Hong Kong. Just give us some ideas of what you've done.
I wouldn't say that I'm building the relationships.
Okay.
So that's how that's how I look at it. And everything, I think that everybody looks at it differently and maybe approaches it differently. But I try to make new friends and network in all countries because I know that we're growing so fast that we're probably going to end up in one of those countries eventually. So I think it's like I've had friends in Italy for so long. So I cried at convention when they announced
When we
Italy,
announced
because
Italy?
I was like, I've had friends who've been waiting and
Love it.
talking about this for so long.
Love it. So what to you, so when I said you were building a team, you said, no, I'm actually really building relationships. What's the difference between building a team and building relationships? It sounds like at least at the starting point, it's a little bit different. Elaborate a little bit on that.
Well, because I'm not actually talking to them about the business.
Oh.
They know what I do because they see my attraction marketing posts on Facebook and Instagram. So they are aware of it, but I'm not saying, hey, maybe someday you can do this, or, let me put you on a list, or let me put you in a group. I'm just simply want to be their friends.
So what kinds of things do you go back and forth about?
As in?
Just as in building relationships.
Oh, okay. Well,
if you're not talking about unique, right? What are you talking about?
it depends. And it differs for me from Instagram and Facebook too. Because if it's on Facebook, then I've already been friends with them for a while, so
Okay.
it's more in depth. But if it's on Instagram, which is how I kind of build friends and get them to Facebook, I will start out, and this is where I've had a lot of success in almost interviewing them and asking them questions about how makeup and cosmetics are perceived in their country. So I'll just say to them, can I ask you a few questions, please? And they'll say yes, and they've been more than willing to answer. And they say, that they love makeup and they love cosmetics, and they go into detail, and I just tell them that they've helped me, and then that's where kind of we can build a relationship and talk about
Love it.
families and
Love
children.
it. So you tend to stick to the industry,
Yes.
and then you branch out from there.
Yes.
Now you mentioned Instagram, which I think is fascinating that you use Instagram, and I'm hoping you can elaborate a little bit on that, because it is, especially in Hong Kong, right? It's this up and coming social media tool, and what we found, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit on it, but we found that this is attracting the Instagram users in Hong Kong is really the demographic of individuals that we want to be in.
Yeah, it fits our profile, as you will, as a presenter body very well, and it's a lot of women who like Western brands, right? A lot of women who like skincare, who like cosmetics, who like beauty and fashion, just like our presenters. And
Nice.
So, yeah.
And so you're using Instagram, and just elaborate a little bit more on how you really are using it.
Well, Instagram is different than Facebook in the case of if you randomly add somebody on Facebook, they might think that you're trying to spam them, to be honest. And sometimes they will, they won't accept your friendship. Whereas in Instagram, you can follow, and that's okay. And they might even follow back if they go to your Instagram and see that you're not being spammy, you're being a genuine person. Then they're like, okay, I'll follow her too. And so that's where it differs from Facebook.
So it's a little bit less of a commitment initially.
I think so, yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I scan their profiles. I see if they like makeup, if they have a huge following. It's not a definite, I'm not going to say I won't follow them if they don't have a huge following. It would just take a little bit more time to teach them how to network and grow their business that way if they do decide to sign up in the future, which is okay. I start building the relationship, liking and commenting on their posts, on their Instagram posts. And like I said, I will talk to them a little bit about the industry, talk about cosmetics and skincare, and they've been so happy to talk about it with me. And they are saying how much they love makeup and how much they love skincare. And if they do have a Facebook, then I just, after we've built that relationship, I say, hey, can we, be friends on Facebook too? And then
Great steps. Great steps. You mentioned something that I want to go back to. You talked a little bit about attraction marketing.
Yeah.
And I think for some people who've been in Unique for a while, it's a very much an everyday part of their business. But for other people, it really isn't necessarily. Can you give us a little bit of education in general on attraction marketing, what it is, and how you use it for your business?
Okay. So for attraction marketing, and I used to do maybe a little bit more of spammy behavior on Instagram, as it can be a little bit more acceptable to post a graphic on Instagram than it is on Facebook. But recently I just started using attraction marketing on Instagram too, and noticed a huge change in my following. So now I have up to 5,600 followers. That it changed, it changed very quickly when I started using the attraction marketing there as well. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be about Unique, your posts. It has to be about how Unique is changing your life, but it doesn't have to be about Unique. I'm getting this pedicure because of Unique. You don't have to say that. You can just say, this is the stuff you're doing, this is how you're living your life, it's how I've changed, but you don't have to always say because of Unique.
Scream the brand.
Right. Because they know. If you're doing your job, they know what you're doing.
So in Hong Kong specifically, you mentioned skincare, you mentioned just cosmetics in general. What type of posts have gotten the most traction for you in Hong Kong?
I would say actual me putting on not tutorials, but my end result of makeup, and especially eyes. So if I do my eyes and then I take a picture of it and post it, they love that. Lips, bold colors, just of me wearing the product.
Nice.
Yeah.
Use a lot of hashtags.
Yes. Hashtags are it's the thing on Instagram. It's how you get to be seen. And so I like to, after I have made a few friends in the countries that we're talking about, not just in Hong Kong, I'll go search the hashtags that they're using. And so when I see that they use them, in every post or every other post, that's one that I'll start using in my posts, so that when they're searching it, my stuff will pop up in their feed.
Love it. Great tip. So you research commonly used hashtags.
Yeah, yes. I'll go to their profile and see what hashtags they're using the most.
Smart.
Yeah.
Jordan, you mentioned something that I wasn't aware of, and it is how you can actually use Facebook to boost Instagram.
Yeah, and this is a pretty new feature. So you have to have your Instagram and Facebook accounts linked, and you can do that on the Ads Manager page in Facebook. And if you have them linked, when you boost a post from Facebook, you'll have the option of boosting it also or exclusively to Instagram. So,
Great.
Yeah, cool new
Yeah,
feature.
that is a new feature, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can also do it backwards too. So if you go to Instagram and you'd like to post it on Facebook too, it'll say share on Facebook, Twitter, whatever you choose, and it'll go there too.
We're not telling Tia anything she doesn't already know. Okay. How about the language barrier? Talk about that.
I was telling Jordan earlier, it's a funny thing because you would think it would be huge, and it's not. And in Hong Kong, they know a little bit of English. It might be a little broken, but they love it. They love to talk to you in English, and they'll usually say thank you for talking to them in English. I mean, I think that they enjoy it. And you elaborated on that a little bit for me, because I didn't understand why, but you did say.
Yeah. So every market we go into, even if English isn't the first language, there's a portion of the population, millions of people, who speak English to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are thrilled to have a native English speaker to be able to talk to. You know, I don't want to say every market or every person, but I think that's partly why people have been so happy to talk to you, right?
Yeah.
They love practicing
Yeah.
their English.
That's great.
Right?
And when I told them that they were helping me with my research, they were thrilled. They're so nice, so kind. A few of the women said, thank you so much for asking me. This makes me feel so
Lovely.
good,
That's great. So, just in summary, I mean, just talking to presenters who want to start working in Hong Kong, what do you want to tell them?
Well, no spamming. First off,
Or she's gonna come after you.
I'm not very scary, so. But talking and asking current family members and friends who they have, if they have friends and family in Hong Kong, if they have visited Hong Kong. So I think taking that into consideration too, you don't have to always have to, put your main focus on adding new people. It can be acquaintances, people, friends of friends of friends of friends. So, so I would tell them to approach Hong Kong how they approach U.S. I don't think that it has to be a whole lot different than other countries, and especially it doesn't have all the other countries that we've launched in. It doesn't have to be different than the U.S. If you are building the genuine connection and through makeup and cosmetics, they love that. So that's your connection,
Mm-hmm.
right from the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you focus on the relationship business and not so much on the business, then whenever it comes time to launch, you're actually talking to a friend about it instead of a stranger, and you're not spamming them, because then you're so excited because it has been something you've already talked about, and they're not a stranger, they're your friend now. So it's not like, okay, now you're being weird, but.
Great advice. We have, as we've launched new markets, we have, sometimes we will go in the day that a market launches and do an event, and sometimes we don't. And we have gone back and forth with trying out different things. Our last market, which was Spain, we went into Spain. We actually did 2 events in 2 different cities, and I had the pleasure of being there. And we have made the decision with Hong Kong not to go into Hong Kong and do an initial launch event or an opportunity event. And I really want to explain why, because I want you all to understand. What we have found is that in most cases, the top recruiters will go into the country and do their own events to welcome new presenters and be able to answer commonly asked questions. We have found that to be a very common practice. And so by the time we actually do the event on the go live date or the day after the go live date, most of the individuals who are at the event have either been to another event or are already actually presenters. And so it's not really an opportunity event, and at Unique we don't really like doing opportunity events anyway, but we sometimes will do it when we launch a new country, but we just find ourselves at these events going, well, these women are already presenters, they've already been to an event, so why are we actually doing this now? And what we have decided is when we can go back in a few months later, 6 months later, after the presenters have a bit of a knowledge base, we can actually do a training. But it's very, very difficult to do a training of any sort because we have so many different levels of knowledge, and most of the time their head is spinning because they've just recently signed up, and we can't really do any real good solid training. But we're looking forward to going into Hong Kong in 2017 to do training, and we have followed up in every country, and we'll be going into France here before the end of the year, and of course we launch France at the beginning of this year. So that is our plan, is to wait a few months and follow up in 2017 with a little bit more of a solid training in Hong Kong. Is that anything you wanted to add on that, the reasons why?
Perfect. No, just, yeah, perfect.
Okay. We're getting close to the end of the call. You sort of committed to putting that mask on your face for the first time, Jordan. I don't know if was he serious about that, or was that all just, I don't know. Was that all just talk?
We'll see.
We'll see. So, he was dead serious. Get that man a mirror. We need to get, you need a mirror with that, Jordan.
Does it go over the beard?
I'm getting you a mirror. I don't have a beard. I don't really have too much personal experience with that.
It's not
I
on
happen to have my unique phone that has a mirror right there on it, and you can see exactly what you're doing. Now, you
Okay.
leave that on for 5 minutes so you can
It's
tour the
tingling.
office.
It's
It
tingling.
bubbles. It oxidizes. Isn't that
Wow.
fantastic?
Wow.
That means
Is
your
Hong
face
Kong
is
going to
really
love
dirty.
this
Wow.
product or what? It's
I
going to
think-
change your life, Jordan.
I think I'm looking younger already.
Yeah, so you apply that baby, you wait 5 minutes, that gives you just enough time to circulate the office and do a nice little show and tell, and then you go rinse that off. There you have it. Jordan's using our mask for the first time. Thank you so much for joining us, Tia.
Thank you.
Thank you as always, Jordan. The next call and final call that we will have, hey, don't overuse that. That's my mask I'm letting you use right there. You can apply it sparingly, Jordan. Sparingly.
Okay, I'm learning.
The next call we will have is the final call, which will be in September, where it will actually be our Why Unique call, our top reasons why you want to join Unique, that you can, of course, share with your potential sponsor. So until next time, Soi Jin, right? Goodbye in Cantonese. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.